Everything in perspective is a relationship to the body and to the human scale. Actually, the human eye and the camera as well, right? So let's talk about the human body and its relationship to the world. You guys have seen Leonardo da Vinci's little diagram where he draws the human figure in here, and the arms are spread out to here, the torso goes here, and the legs come down like this, right? So what that tells us is that the width of your arm, your wingspan, is the same as the height of your body, right? So that if you're 6 feet tall, then your wingspan is going to be 6 feet wide. Well, knowing that, then we can say from the center of your chest to the end of your hand is half of that, so that's about 3, right? If you take your hand and you measure from your shoulder to your wrist, then that's about 2. And if you measure from your wrist to your elbow, then that's about 1. Okay? This is all for a 6-foot person. I know that I'm 6'5", so that means that I have to sort of roll my fingers. If I want to measure 6 feet, then I'll go 6 feet out this way, and then I'll take off a little bit at the end. What this does for me is it means that I can go into an interior design shop, for instance, and I can look at a sofa and I can ask myself, is that a 6-foot sofa? Is that an 8-foot sofa? How big is that table if I go up to measure it? Well, if I stand right here and I put my hands out and my hands go like this and it's just a little bit longer, then I know that's a 7-foot sofa, right? If it goes beyond on either end, then I'll know it's an 8. Yeah? So my hand from here to here is about 8 inches. My spread here is about 9 inches. This is about 4 inches from here to here. All these measurements I use when I'm doing something, just like I pace off a room sometimes, right? Or say 1 tile on the floor is 1 foot square. So if I have a person that's 6 feet tall, and I'm going to use this grid paper to say if this is the floor or the ground, and I'm going to use this at 1/4 inch equals a foot, because this is 1/4 inch grid. So we'll go up 6 squares, and we'll say the head is going to be right here. Halfway from head to feet, 1, 2, 3, right? So let's say this is 6 feet. Halfway from head to feet is where the hips lie, right? And then the rib cage lies between that. The rest is legs to the floor. Your hands hang a little bit below 3 feet. And so this is why countertops and light switches are always at about 3 feet, right? So if you're designing a kitchen and we're doing an elevation view, an elevation is a 2-dimensional flat looking onto one wall, right? So this is an elevation view of a person. Let's say the room is 8 feet tall and the person is 6 feet tall. Then I'm going to take, if this is my floor at 0, then I'm going to say this is 8 and here's 6, right? I already have my 3 here at the hips. 3 is pretty important because that's where the hip size is. That's also where the back of a chair might come up to. So if you think, oh, it's convenient to reach the top of a chair, wrong, right? So a chair like this in elevation might look something like so. Very simplistic we might draw to start, right? That's easy to grab the back of that. A chair railing is also at 3 foot high in the room, right? So this 3 foot level is kind of where that sits. Tables usually go about 2.5, right? So table height is 2.5. Countertops are at 3. Drawing tables and desks at school are 3 foot high so that you can stand and work on them comfortably, right? Light switches are also at right about 3 foot. They're just above that, so you reach up just a little bit to flip off the light. But most everything that happens in the room happens very near to that 3 foot. The chair, if you look at this bottom half of your body, if your hips happen at 3 foot high, your knee is half of that, so at 1.5 feet is where the seat is. So whenever we draw a chair, we're going to draw the seat at 1.5 feet. If the back is a little higher, the seat might come up to 4 feet if you're looking at a throne or something like that, right? Maybe 3.5 would be the most. A tall chair like a dining chair might go a little bit above 3. If it comes down into 2.5, then you're looking at like a 1950s chair, but the seat is still going to be at 1.5 off the floor so that it's comfortable to sit on. Okay? And that brings your desk down to 2.5 and the back of your chair up to 3. All right, so if I'm drawing an elevation, let's make a quick floor plan here. We're going to go 4, 8, we'll make it 16 feet wide. So that's 16 feet width in this room. And my depth doesn't really matter in my elevation, does it? But let's make it 16 feet deep too. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. Let's see, 4, 16 would be right here. Is that right? I can measure with my pencil. I put my blue here, and I pinch the pencil here, and I go this way, and I see that's the same. So I'm good. So this is a floor plan of a room which is 16 feet wide and 16 feet deep. We're going to say that it's 8 feet high. And if we put a desk here in the corner, and the desk is 2 feet wide, and well, let's say it's 6 feet wide and 2 feet deep, right? 6 foot by 2 foot. And the chair that we have over here, let's say, is going to be 2 foot by 2 foot. Usually I actually make a chair 3 foot deep because I need to have the back lean back. So I'm going to have a 2 by 2 foot seat. Most people have about 2 feet hip distance here, or about a foot, 1.5 feet. So you need to have about 2 feet for people to sit on. A stool could be a foot circle, but that's about only this wide as your hips, right? This chair here I've drawn just a little less than 2 feet, haven't I? Then I have this lean back, so this would be where that arch is coming up over here, because the side of a chair, if I said a chair was 3 feet high, or 3 feet deep and 3 feet high, the chair would lean like this to the seat, and then the seat would come out like this into the room, and the legs would probably do something like that. Right? So this is the side view. We're still working in 2 dimensions, right? So this is height and depth, if we're going to call this our deep, right? This is the height and depth of that chair right there. I don't draw the rungs, I don't draw the seat because I'm not seeing above or below, right? So elevation view and plan view, imagine that your eye is flat above or flat looking on, and there's no dimension. I don't see above or below that table. So when I'm here at the table, I see the table. When I'm here at the chair, I see the chair. But I don't see the top of the seat or the bottom of the seat or any of that. It doesn't really matter where my eye is in this room, right? So let's say I'm standing here and you're looking down at the top of me. I'm going to make this about 2 feet wide. Those are my shoulders and that's my head as you're looking down at the top of this person standing right there, right? Of course, then we'd switch if we wanted to make this elevation match that floor plan. We'd need to switch some things up, wouldn't we? So I've got the person standing in the middle of the room. Let's say this line right here is this line right here, right? So this contains my width and my depth, and this contains my height and my width. So my 3 dimensions are height, width, and depth. All right, so in this elevation view, I'm going to say I've got a table. It's 2 feet over from the side of that guy, so I'm going to go 1, 2, and then I'm going to draw the table up to table height, which is 2.5, right? And it's 6 feet, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The table's going to look like this in that room. And it's sitting in the corner, so that's the end of my room. This is going to be the end of the wall of the back of the room, right? There's the person. Let's come 2 blocks over this way, 1, 2, and say there's a chair. That's going to be 3 foot high and 2 foot wide. The seat's going to be at 1.5. And the legs are going to look something like that, right? Then this is my side view. That's my front view. Then 2 feet over from that's the end of the wall, so 1, 2, and here I'm going to say, this then should be the back wall in elevation. Let's check. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So this is the back wall elevation view of a room that's 16 wide and 8 feet high. This is the floor plan view of that room, and these are the figures drawn from above, and these are the figures drawn from the front. To set up a perspective drawing now of that room, I want to come over here, and I don't need a ruler to measure this out. But to make an 8 by 16 foot wall, I'm going to come about 1/3 of the way down my page, and I'm going to make a line. And that line I'm going to say is 8 feet. Now that line may be a little longer, or it may be a little shorter. Sometimes I draw it 4 inches, sometimes I draw it 5 inches, sometimes it depends on how big the paper is. So this is a difference between scale and proportion, right? Scale is 1/4 inch equals 1 foot in this drawing here. The scale here might be different. Proportion is a relational thing, right? So the difference between scale and proportion is that proportion is in relationship to something else in the drawing, and scale is in relationship to the ruler. All right, so here I'm trying to make an 8 by 16, so I'm going to take and I'm going to make a mark. I'm going to arbitrarily call that 8. So it needs to be twice as wide as it is high. So now I'm going to take my pencil. I'm going to put the blue part of my pencil at the top of the line. I'm going to pinch the pencil at the bottom of the line, and I'm going to turn it this way and say that's going to be 8. Then I'm going to do it again, so I get twice. So this is going to be 16. Actually, this is going to be 16. I'm going to call this 8 because this is 8 feet from this corner, right? So let's say this is 0, and we're looking across this direction, and make a horizontal and a vertical and get these locked in. So now I have a square on my page that's twice as wide as it is high. If this is going to be 8, then I know halfway there is 4. And half of that's going to be 6, and half of this is going to be 2, right? So there's 4, and 2, and 6, and 8. Halfway between 8 and 16 is 12. So this would be 10. This would be 14. And that would be 16. I might want to very lightly go in here and just make a construction line at 3 to kind of know how high tables and chairs and countertops are going to be, right? Tables and chairs are going to be, tables are going to be 2, chairs are going to be 3, light switches are going to be just above that, counters are going to be right there. A person's going to be 6 feet at the most, right? Doors then are 7 feet. So if I had a door here, let's put a door right here next to the table. 7 feet high and 3 feet wide. Because we said people are about a foot at the hips, so you've got to put enough room for their arms and shoulders. So doors are 7 feet by 3 feet. So if I know that this door is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 feet from this left wall, then I'm going to come here where this says 6 and that says 8, and I'm going to go right in the middle, and I'm going to start a line up. How high am I going to go? Up to where this says 7. I know it's 3 feet wide, so I'm going to go 8, 9, 10, and I'm going to put another line up to 7 feet. I'm going to draw that in right there. This is where our line practice comes in. We can draw the door jamb outside of that by putting another line right next to it. And the door handle right where your hands hang at 3 feet. The chair, we said, sits here. Three feet high and 2 feet wide with the seat halfway down. And the desk, we said, was 6 feet from the wall, so there's 2, 4, 6 coming right over to here. And that's how the desk would look in elevation. All right, so now I have an elevation view of this floor plan.